Jai Shri Gurudev. Today we are going to discuss about the next lesson, that is Varu Manushan. It is written by Vaikom Mohabbat Bashir. Okay, Varu Manushan is a story. It is prescribed for the first UC students in the English language subject. Okay. He is a Malayalam writer, a story writer. He lived between 1908 to 1994. Okay, and he was a very well known poet and a story writer because he was creating the characters and the story from the ordinary life. From the ordinary life, he was selecting the characters and themes out of which he was able to portray the joy and sorrows of ordinary life. Okay, and he was a member of Sahitya Academy, and also he has received Central Sahitya Academy Award. Also he has received Padma Shri Award. Okay, the title of the lesson, Varu Manushan. Varu Manushan, you know that it is a short story. Short story, definitely, as the title, as the name indicates, it is a story. It will be in a very short form. Okay, and what is the meaning of Varu Manushan? Varu Manushan is a word derived from Malayalam language, because originally the story is in Malayalam language only, because the writer is also from Kerala. Okay, it means a man. It means a man. So what is the meaning of Varu Manushan? It is nothing but a man. So it is only to explain the meaning of Varu Manushan, that is our Indian language. We are using a foreign term. Okay, so which is strange between these two, whether English or Malayalam, that we have to understand personally among ourselves. Okay, Varu Manushan, maybe it is Malayalam, but it is our own Indian language. But a man is a word that is very easy, simple for all of us, because we are more familiar to English language than to our own Indian languages, except our mother tongue. Okay, our mother tongue will be definitely, it will be the most familiar language for us. Varu Manushan, though it is in Malayalam, that is also a foreign language for all of us, a strange, unknown language for all of us, because we are living very far from the people of our own country, that is from Kerala. Kerala is not far, but we are living very far. It means we are not close to them, we are not acclimatized to them, we are not familiar to them, and they are not familiar to us because of the differences between the languages. The language itself has become the barrier for both of us, and we also never try to learn. Many of us don't try to learn Malayalam, but we always try to become familiar to English language, which is of a different country. Okay, a language from different country, different continent, different land. But we are familiar to English than to our own other Indian languages, because we are growing like that. We are growing to become very closer to English language that has become habit, thinking, attitude of all our countrymen for that matter. Okay, let us try to understand what is all about Corona mission. This story, as I told you, it is an ordinary story from the ordinary life. How a person go through sorrow and joy. Okay, he undergoes sorrow than to joy. Okay, than joy. Okay, that will be described here. That will be described in this story. How a person, when he lands in some unknown, strange place, what are the kinds of problems one may have to face, that will be explained to us in this story in a very simple, funny way. Okay. Now let us understand by reading the story. You have no definite plans. You are wandering around far away from home. Okay. So the first statement itself is telling, giving hint what we are and what we are going to do. Okay. We don't have definite plans. We don't have definite plans. We should have definite plans for each and everything. You are doing something in the morning till evening, so you should have definite plans. If you don't have definite plans, definitely we are going to face problems. Okay, we are going to land in some difficult situation that will be sometimes very difficult to come out. Somebody, some aliens, some angels should come to save us from the difficult situations which we undergo when we don't have definite plans. Imagine a situation, you or I, whatever, whoever. Okay. So now, just for the story's sake, let us think that we ourselves are facing that situation. We ourselves is in a situation that will be like this, how it will be described in the story. We don't have plans. Okay. And we are in a place, it is very, very far from our home. Okay. So maybe you are a Mysorean, but you have gone to some place that is not known to you before. Okay. And what are the other problems that you are having with you? You have no money. Very important. You are very far from home. You don't have relatives. You don't have friends. Where will you stay? Whom you meet? Whom you ask the help? Okay. You need food. You need to stay for that night after the day is getting over. Okay. So how do you do that? When you are away from your home, when you don't have money, when you don't have relatives, when you don't have friends, you don't know that place. First of all, you don't know that place exactly. Where do you go? Where do you come? All these things. The bus stop, the moment you will get down, only the bus stop will be the thing, will become familiar to you. After that, the rest of the place, in that region, will not be known to you at all. Where do you go? Which direction? How to come back also, sometimes it will be difficult if it is a very big city. Okay. All these things. When you have no money with you, you do not know the local language. Another problem. First of all, you don't have the money. You feel thirsty. You feel hungry. Okay. You don't have place. You don't have money to buy the water bottle, or you don't have money to buy. You don't have money to buy some biscuits or fruits to eat, or to go to hotel and ask for something. You don't know the language. First of all, money is not there. Another problem, you don't have knowledge of the local language which they speak. Just for example, you go to Kerala, you go to Tamil Nadu. In the case if you don't know the local language and in the case you don't have money, how do you face the situation? We have to assume ourselves we are in that situation. Then it is easy for us to understand the story. You can speak English and Hindustani. These are the two languages maybe familiar to you. Familiar to you or I. Okay, English or Hindustani you may be knowing, but you don't know the local language. These two languages are not known to the local people in a case, just for the case. If they don't know your language, what will be the situation? How do you ask anything? Maybe water, maybe food, maybe some fruits, maybe something to eat, some place to rest. Okay, how do you ask? And what those people think of you? Definitely, if it is a smaller city, smaller towns or smaller place, it means if it is a village, means population will be very less and very few people will be there in that region. If very few people means if it is a very small place with less population, everybody will be known to everybody. Either not, maybe not personally, at least you will not be a strange person in some cases. Okay, if you are of that region, if you are of that land. Okay, if it is a very big city like Bangalore, Bombay, everybody will be stranger to everyone. Okay, let us forget that case. If it is an average place, usually people will know everyone. At least your face will be familiar to you. Now in this case, when you don't know the language, when you don't have money, and you don't know the local language, means definitely they think that you are from a different place. It is not just that. Sometimes they think beyond whether you are a good person, bad person, terrorist, beggar, a person who has come all the way without giving any information to parents. It means some people will run away from the home, having had a duel or fight with the parents due to some quarrel in the family, due to some issues in the family. They run away, leaving all the parents and brothers, sisters. So that kind of situations will be there for some people. And how do they come to know you? How do they assess you? Whether you are a good person, why you have come, whether you are a tourist or have come for a job, has come to make a living. How do they know that? Okay, all the things will be something different, strange. So see the series of plans, series of problems. You don't have definite plans when you go to a place. It is very far from your home. You don't have money. You don't know the local language. You know only English and Hindustani, that is nothing but Hindi. That is not known to the local people. And what will be your situation? Okay. Now, but very few people know either of these languages. This can land you in many predicaments. Many adventures can befall you. Many predicaments. Predicaments means problems. Okay. These problems sometimes will become adventures. To come out of the problems, you should become adventurous. You should struggle, you should fight to come out of the problems in such a land. Okay, imagine that you are in that situation. You find yourself caught in a dangerous situation. At a time when you have all these problems, you feel that you are in a dangerous situation. How do you face that. Okay. A total stranger rescues you. If somebody is going to suspect you, if somebody is going to catch you and gives you some problems because you are a stranger from that land, maybe they have suspected you as thief or a bad person, a terrorist. In that case, when you are in the problem, somebody maybe is a stranger to you, but not to the land where you are. That fellow comes to save you, save your life, save you from the problems. Even after years pass by you, you will sometimes remember the man and wonder why he did so. Now you have come out of the problems. You are not in that land. You have left that place. You are now free. You are now cool, comfortable in your own homeland. At that time, you remember the past. You remember your situation in that land and just try to recollect how you faced that, how a stranger came in your life to save you from the predicaments, all that you had to face that day. Okay, you will just remember that person and feel like why he did so, why he saved you, what was the relation between you and he. You feel that, you think that, you just try to remember the past. Okay, you ask several questions to yourself and you will be trying to find the answers for all of them. Why that stranger came in your life to save you from the difficult situation. Now let us imagine that it is not he, it is I or we. Okay, we shall move on further to understand the story in detail. Let us say it is I, not you, who remembers the man. Okay, and no narrating experience which I had. It means the writer here trying to bring in the first person character, first person narrator. Okay, the narrator is the first person. He is telling his own story. We feel that he is telling his own story. It is just like we are telling our own story to others. In that way, the narrator is in first person. Maybe let us think that it is the writer, Vaikram Muhammad Bashir. Let it not be the case of his own personal experience, but for the story's sake, we shall imagine that he is telling his personal story, or we shall imagine that it is our own story we are telling to others. Okay, I am now narrating experience which I had. I have some vague notions about human beings. Vague notions. Vague means not clear, unclear, fuzzy. A person is coming in front of you. He is not our friend. He is not our relative. He is not in our area. He is not residing in our area. Or he is not from our village. He is from some unknown place. Altogether, he is a stranger for us. What we know about him? What I know about him? I don't know his name. I cannot read his face. If you see the face, you cannot judge a person. It will be totally something vague. Maybe he is a good person. We think that he is a bad person because he is not looking handsome. He looks ugly. He is very black. Just because of that, we may feel that he is a thief. Maybe he is looking white, handsome, but internally, maybe he is having some wicked notions, wicked ideas, wicked thoughts, feelings. He is going to he may try to cause some danger to us, but we don't sometimes we don't suspect him because he is looking handsome, innocent from outside. You think something that may be opposite to his nature, his character. We cannot identify the true identity of his self. That is what vague notion, including myself. Okay, anybody for that matter, nobody is exception. I may feel something bad about you, but you are not so. You are a good person. You may feel something good about me, maybe not. I am not a good person to you. Internally, I have some wicked ideas, thoughts, plans for you, but you will be feeling that I am a good person. Okay? Because I feel like that. I express myself like that. I speak as if I am innocent. Maybe I smile always at you. I show my humbleness. Maybe it is not true to my nature. So that's why we will have vague notions about the people without understanding the true identity of a real person from seeing outside. We will try to imagine something different about a person, about his nature. There are around me good men and thieves, those who suffer from various infectious diseases and from madness. One has to live carefully. We should be very, very careful to live in our society. Of course, people will be around us. All those people, all the time, will not be good to us. And we don't know exactly what is their true nature, because every day we don't interact with the people. We don't do the correspondence business to understand to what extent he is good to us. Sometimes, though he is good, he cannot be good. That will also be sometimes possible, true. Okay. Here, in the society where we live, there will be so many people, good people. Opposite to it, we will also have some bad people. Society means it is always that. It is a combination of everything. All kinds of people will be there. Good people, healthy people, and some people will be suffering from some diseases. And some people are educated, and opposite to it, uneducated are there. Uneducated are there. Literates are there. Illiterates are there. For every character, there will be opposite characters. Okay? So, that is what society is. Society means it is not that only one set of one common group of people will be there. It will be combination of everything. Bad, good, okay, ugly, beautiful. Everything will be there. Okay? One has to live carefully. When we are living in a society, we have to be careful. Otherwise, we have to experience. Experience sometimes will be too dear. It means it will be very costly for all of us. Having gone through experience only, we will know what is the cost of that experience. Before going through some experience, we should be careful. Okay? Especially with the strangers, we should be very careful. That is what he is trying to say. The world has more evil than good. Maybe it is not true. We feel that. If we are helped by somebody, if people are good to us, we feel that everybody is good. And if we feel that we are affected, troubled, harassed, then we feel that everybody is bad. Maybe it is not so. We think that in case if we are troubled by somebody, if anybody has given problem to us, we feel that all are bad, all are wicked, evil. We realize this only after we get hurt. Especially when we get hurt, we feel that everybody is bad. Let me record here that incident which was perhaps quite insignificant. Okay, of course in this story, one important incident will be recorded. It will be explained to us by the storyteller. That will be insignificant. Insignificant means it is not important. It is not important. But from the point of story, we have to see that. Okay. Only to relate how the society is combination of both, to mention that, to explain that, we are going to see, understand an insignificant story. It was quite a big city in the valley of a mountain. Okay, now the writer, the storyteller, in first person, he is going to tell that it was a big city. It was a big city, and it is in the valley of a mountain. It is not in the plain land. It is in the valley of a mountain. Okay. It is a city. It is in the valley of a mountain. In generally is talking, is not specific to any particular place. Some 1,500 miles from home. What is the distance between the narrator's home and the valley? From the home and the city. What is the distance between this city and this home? That is some 1,500 miles. Okay, remember that it is miles, not kilometers. Some 1,500 miles. The inhabitants of which had never been known for the quality of mercy. Inhabitants means the people who are living there, they are residing there, they are settled there. Okay, settlers of that land, of that city in the valley of mountain, they do not know what is mercy. Mercy, kindness, sympathy, generosity, all these are not known to these inhabitants of that city in the mountain. They are all strange from them. Mercy means what is that? Kindness means what is that? They can't explain, but they can show. What is opposite to mercy? Cruelty, hatredness. Okay. The attitude will be very bad. It is going to hurt you. Such kind of behavior, their attitude they have. They were a cruel people. What kind of people they are? They are all cruel people. Cruel people means they don't give any value for your personality, for your character, for your nature. They don't think that you are a human being, you are a brother, something like that. They don't think. They are very cruel. It means if they want something, they have to get it. That's it. How they are going to get it, that is immaterial, that they don't know at all. If you give them, simply when they ask, they will take it. If you resist, then they will show their strength. They will try to get it, whatever may be the means, either by oppressing, subduing, harassing, beating, or they can try to kill you if you resist. It depends on your resistance. If you show more resistance, it can lead you to get killed. That is the kind of people they are there in that city. Murder, robbery, pickpocketing, these were daily occurrences. These are all common. Okay. On the other hand, you see in some places, if you go to some sacred places, holy places, always you see that people come there to serve the people. They offer meals, they offer money, they offer something or the other to show their love, kindness, sympathy, affection, humanity for others. But these people in this land, they are all totally different from your expectation. If you want the people to show mercy, love, kindness, they should be helpful to others. Such kind of people you are expecting, but they are opposite to your expectation. They don't show any sort of mercy. They are very cruel. What is common in that land? Murder. Why it happens? Because the other person is going to show more resistance to them. They don't give whatever he is going to ask. Robbery. If they don't have something, the other person is having something, they try to get it by unlawful ways, illegal ways. Of course, it may be wrong. That is not needed for it. They will rob you. And then pickpocketing. You have money, wallet is there in your pocket. Okay, they want to catch it, snatch it. That will, pickpocketing is without your knowledge, somebody is going to steal your item, the wallet, the money, whatever you have in your purse, in your pocket. Okay, that is nothing but pickpocket. These were daily occurrences, not uncommon or rare. You can't expect that it is very rare. It is very common. It means you should be very, very careful. By tradition, the people were professional soldiers. What kind of people are there? They are professional soldiers. What do you mean by soldier? Anybody who is going to protect his land, his people. Well, anybody who is going to fight for the sake of giving safety to his own land, property or people, he is a soldier. But these people are no way different from the soldiers. They are professional soldiers. By birth they are like that. Some of them went to distant places. Among the people of that land, some have gone away from that land because they don't want to stay there. Having felt somewhat like frustrated, having seen the day-to-day occurrences in the land, having felt very bad, they don't want to live in that land because always these are the bad things happen in that land which is going to spoil their peace, happiness, comfort. In order to seek the comfort, happiness, peace, they have gone out of this land and they are living in some other place. And lent out money on interest. Some people, opposite to the one which we now mentioned, some people, they were giving money on interest. It means they were earning money out of money. Money has become the commodity. They are going to sell money and they are going to make money. That is their living. Okay. So, like banking business, local financiers, they are earning money out of their money by giving it to others by demanding more interest from others, whatever may be the reason. They don't show any sort of mercy to the person who has taken, who has borrowed money from them. Only thing that they want more interest for the money which is given by them. Like that, they are doing the financial business. Many others served as watchmen in banks. Some people are doing the job of watchmen. And in banks, mills and large commercial establishments in big cities. Okay, they have some people have gone out of the places and they are living. Money was highly valued by them. What is important for these people? Money. Money is more important for these people of that city than anything else. If they have money, they are very happy. To get money, they are ready to do anything. Such kind of people. For money, they would do anything, even commit murder. See that they are ready to murder somebody for the sake of money. They don't bother about mercy. They will become cruel for the sake of money. That kind of people they are. In this place, the storyteller, the narrator, maybe it is a writer, it is the writer himself. He is telling us how it will be. Okay, how he went through a situation. I stayed in that city in a very small, dingy room on a dirty street. Okay, the narrator is staying in a dingy room. Dingy room means it is very bad. There is no good condition. The air in that room, it is stinky. Always there is a kind of stench, bad odor. Okay, it is not in good condition. It is filthy, bad, dirty room. On a dirty street. Street is also not good. The street is dirty city. The street is dirty, and the room which is in which he is there, that is also dingy, foul, filthy. Okay, that kind of room, in that he is living. I carried on a profession there, teaching English to some migrant laborers. What he is doing? He is teaching English to migrant laborers. Okay, for migrant laborers, he is teaching English. Okay, what is the profession the narrator is doing? He is doing the job of teaching English. He is a teacher, English teacher. For what? For whom? For the migrant laborers. They are also laborers only. Okay. Why they are learning? We have to understand. From 9:30 till evening, 11 in the night. From what time to what time he is teaching English for them? From 9:30 p.m. to 11 p.m. for about 1.5 hours. 1.5 hours. He is teaching English to the migrant laborers. Okay. I taught them to write addresses in English. See that? He is not teaching something big. He is not telling them how to read a novel, how to read a poetry, how to read a drama, how to speak English. That he is not teaching. He is teaching only how to write addresses in English. Why they want to learn? That is also something very important for us. He is teaching for all the migrant laborers how to write the addresses in English. Of course, we know that they are all migrant laborers. They have come away from their homes. they have to write the letters to their family members. When they write the letters, that should be addressed where it has to go. If you write the address in the local language, in his mother tongue, how the person of that city will read the letter to send it to the receiver? That is not known to the people of that city. At least if he writes the address in English, he can read it and he can send it to the recipient. That is a family member of the writer of that letter. That's why they want to learn how to write the addresses in English. This is one thing. And another thing, learning to write an address in English was considered great education there. Imagine, learning to write an address in English has become a great education. Great education. What sort of education? Do we know? Can we differentiate education and writing address in English? It is no way connected to education. Education is something very big, very broad. If a person writes an address in English, how can we consider that he is educated? Education is something different, totally different from whatever is believed. But here, learning to write an address in English has become something very important for the people. They are migrant laborers. They are thinking that it is a great education. You must have seen people who write addresses at that post office. Always the writer found some people write the address in English and they charge some money for that. They are going to collect some money for that. That has become a living for them. And they were paid anything between 1 anna and 4 annas for writing an address. Okay, for every address they are going to charge 1 to 4 annas. They are going to collect money for writing an address in English, because before posting the letter, one who is going to send the letter must get the address written in English. For that they are going to take the help of a person who is there, who is doing that job every day. For him they are going to pay 1 or 4 hours. That is one profession, that is one business thing. That's why all the people go to the narrator, ask him to teach how to write an address in English, and he is going to teach them from 9:30 p.m. to 11 p.m. That is for 1.5 hours every day. This is the only business, only job this narrator is doing every day in that city as long as he lived there. Okay, I taught the skill of writing addresses to people in order to escape the same fate myself and to see if I could save some money. Why he was teaching? Because it was the only thing he knew. He could not do every job which was available there in that city. He was not capable, he was not skilled, he was not trained for doing any job in that land which was available there. Only whatever he knew, that only he could do, and he also find a way for his life. That is matching with the demand, with the requirement of the local people. It means people needed someone to teach them how to write the address in English, and he knew how to teach them writing an address in English. That is matching. That's why he is doing that business. So that he is able to live there. He is able to make his living. He can earn some money and feed himself, living in that dingy room on a dirty street. Okay. In those days, I would sleep all day and wake up at 4 in the evening. This was to save the expense of drinking my morning tea or eating the noon meal. Only for 1.5 hours every day he is having a job. 24 hours he is having with him like anybody, but the job which he is having only for 1.5 hours. What he has to do for the rest of the time? He cannot do other jobs in the rest of the time. He doesn't know. And whatever the earnings he is getting, that is also very less. That is only for one meal every day. More than that, he cannot spend. To spend also he doesn't have money. If he has to spend more, he has to work more and he has to earn more. That is not possible for him. That's why what he does every day till 4 o'clock, till 4 p.m. Sorry, till 4 p.m. in the daytime. From 11 p.m. to 4 p.m. is going to sleep every day. Okay? Only at 4 p.m., 4 in the evening, he gets up. Why he gets up? Why he does so? Because he doesn't want to go out in other hours. In the rest of the hours. Because he doesn't have so much money, he doesn't have job. He doesn't have a knowledge, he doesn't have knowledge to do any other job. That's why he gets up only at 4 p.m. and he goes to have his meal. Okay? He will finish all his daily chores for that day and he goes out at 4 p.m. only to have his meal. Why he does so? Because he wants to minimize his expenditure. He wants to spend his money only for his meals. He doesn't want to spend money for the meals for the other two. It means for morning breakfast, tea, coffee and afternoon lunch, night, dinner. For all that he doesn't have money to spend. That's why he wants to have only one meal a day, that is at 4 p.m. After having meals at 4 p.m., he goes to his room, he will stay up to 9:30. At 9:30, all the migrant laborers will come to learn English. Till 11 p.m. he will teach. After that, he goes to stay till next day 4 p.m. Okay, this is what is routine. Apart from that, he cannot do anything, he doesn't do anything. One day, I got up at 4 p.m. as usual. See that? He is going to explain what he did. One day, I got up at 4 p.m. as usual. I finished my daily chores and stepped out for my tea and a meal. You must understand that I was dressed in a suit. I had a wallet in my coat pocket. I had 14 rupees in it. My life savings at that time. Okay. I think you have understood all this. One day, as it is already mentioned, got up at 4 p.m. Finished all the daily chores, taking bath or washing face, teeth, mouth. Okay. Finished all those things. And he went out. While going, he was dressed in a suit. He had a purse, wallet in his coat pocket. He had kept, he very much remembers that. He was sure of it. He has kept the purse inside of his coat pocket. Okay. In that purse, he had 14 rupees. Not 14,000, only 14 rupees. It was his life savings. Life savings. He has taken his entire life for saving so much money in that city. Okay. It was his life savings. Only that much money he has with him. He has kept in that wallet and he went out only to have his meal and tea. Now, I entered a crowded restaurant. I ate a full meal consisting of chapatis and meat curry. I drank tea as well. The bill came to 11 annas. He went to a restaurant and he had meals, that is chapatis and meat. It was a full meals he had. Okay. Also he had a cup of tea. What is the bill for this entire thing? It is only 11 annas. One meal, it had costed him 11 annas. Now, I put my hand in my coat pocket to pay it. I began sweating profusely and almost digested in an instant all that I had eaten. The reason was my wallet was not there. See that? Now he has to pay the bill. The bill is 11 annas. He has to pay that. In order to pay the bill, he had to take out his wallet. In order to take out his wallet, he put his hand inside the coat pocket. Suddenly he realized that there is no wallet. It is missing. It means somebody has stolen, pickpocketing. Okay. It is not there in this one. As soon as he came to know that, he started to sweat profusely. Why he had to sweat profusely? Because he knows that people do anything for the sake of money. They are ready to commit murder. They can kill this fellow if he doesn't pay the bill that is of 11 annas. Only for 11 annas, he is having the high chances of losing his whole life. That's why he started to sweat profusely. As soon as he imagined that he is going to be killed by the restaurant owner just because he is not going to pay the bill, he started to shiver. He started to sweat. Okay. Now, I said, someone has picked my pocket and taken away my wallet. In a very low voice, he went to the restaurant owner who is at his counter to collect the bill. He told him in a very low voice in order to make only him listen his words. When he was telling, he was shivering, he was sweating. That is the kind of agony, the experience he is going through at that situation. There is still, he has not yet faced complete situation. Only he is entering into a predicament, problem, because he has lost his wallet. Who had stolen? Who did pickpocket? That he doesn't know. But anyway, it is lost. Lost is lost. He cannot ask anyone in the restaurant to give him back his wallet. People are not kind enough. If so, they wouldn't have stolen. You can't expect. You can't expect your pocket back. It was a very busy restaurant. The owner gave a loud guffaw, start playing everyone. The owner is also a very cruel person. Okay? He has to be in that land to live. Okay? He is busy in that restaurant collecting the bills from many customers. At that time, this fellow, the narrator, when he went and told him he had lost his wallet, he heard that clearly and started to look around in the restaurant and he started to laugh. He gave a loud guffaw. Guffaw means loud laugh. Loud guffaw. Laugh. Loud laugh. Laughing like anything in order to catch everyone's attention towards you. Okay? Now everybody is looking at him. He caught me by the lapels of my coat and shaking me, cried, "This trick won't work here. Put the money down and go, or else I will gouge your eyes out." How did he shout at the narrator? Having given the loud guffaw, looking at everyone, he caught hold of his collar. Shirt collar he held. And by shaking his entire body with the help of his lapels, the shirt collar, he started to cry, "This trick won't work here. Put the money down and go, or else I will gouge your eyes out." Gouge means it is nothing but he is going to remove. He is going to remove his eyes. He is going to pierce his fingers inside of his eyes and he will take out the eyes. What is going to happen to the narrator? He will become blind totally. At the same time, he has to go through all the pain for having lost the eyes. If you go to a doctor, ophthalmologist, he is going to give you some anesthesia before going to do any surgery for your body. Means eyes. And then he will do operation. Any kind of surgery, surgical treatment is necessary. He will take certain precautions in order to make the patient unconscious before going to do a surgery. Then only it does that. Without handling in that way, what the restaurant owner is going to do, he will pierce, insert his fingers inside of the narrator's eyes and he will take out the eyeballs. That is what? Gouge. Okay. Now, what will be the kind of fear for the narrator? We have to imagine, we have to experience. I looked at the people around me. Why he is looking at the people around him? In order to seek the help from others. Is there anybody who is going to save him? To know that, expecting some favor, help, kindness, mercy, sympathy, he is looking around. He is searching for the people who are there to help him. I did not see even one kind face. They had the look of hungry wolves. Nobody is there to save him. He is caught in a situation that is going to be end forever. Okay? All of them are like hungry wolves. They are looking at hungry wolves. Okay? Wolves. If they are hungry, what they will be waiting for? They will be waiting for their catch. They don't show mercy at others. So, same kind of expression is there in everyone's face. He saw that there was no one who was kind enough to save him. If he said he would gouge my eyes out, he would gouge them out. Confirmed. The restaurant owner said that he would gouge his eyes out. If he said so, he would do that. That is what the narrator understood. Confirmed. He felt strongly, he believed strongly. He said so, he is going to do that. He is having lots of fear, agony, anxiety, everything, because there is no one in in his favor to help him. I said, let my coat be here. I will go and bring some money to escape. Somehow he has to escape. Anyway, by using any trick, any method, he has to escape from the situation. That's why he told that he would keep his belongings. What are his belongings? Only his suit. That is the only one extra thing he is having. He felt that the restaurant owner is going to leave him to get the money what he has to pay, that is 11 anna, towards his food meal. He told that he would go and bring the money. Till that time he would keep the suit there only with the restaurant owner. What the restaurant owner wants? He wants money. He doesn't want to take anything alternate for the money. He wants only money. That he doesn't know. He believed that he could convince him in order to save his life. It was better losing his suit for his eyes was much better. That's why he said so, in order to save himself from the situation. Because there was no one, he didn't have money, he has lost it. When he said, the restaurant keeper laughed again. Once again he gave a loud guffaw. He asked me to take off my coat. He told that. Remove your coat. He told. He removed the coat. He gave him the coat. And I took off my coat. He asked me to take off my shirt. He didn't stop. Having taken his suit, the coat, he didn't stop. He didn't send him to get the money. He told once again to remove his shirt. He removed. I took off my shirt. He asked me to take off both my shoes. He had shoes. He was wearing. He has in his legs. That also is asked to remove. What he is going to do? I took off both shoes. Finally, he asked me to take off my trousers, pants. He asked him to take off his trousers. Again, he removed that also. So the idea seemed to be strip me, gouge out my eyes and send me out naked. As soon as he told to remove his trousers, he started to think. His mind is working, his brain is working. He is thinking, what is the idea of restaurant owner? Only one chance he gave, that is to keep the suit. But now he has lost his shoes, he has lost his shirt, he has lost his suit. Now he is asking him to remove the trousers. He started to imagine the situation, how he would be. If without wearing anything, being naked, how it would be, he just started to imagine. I said, I have nothing on underneath. Only to plead him. He said, I don't have anything underneath. Why you are asking me to remove the trousers? Everyone laughed. It was like a joke. Everyone started to laugh, enjoying that joke. The restaurant keeper said, I doubt it. You must have something on underneath. Again he cracked additionally a joke on the narrator. About 50 people repeated, there must be something on underneath. Everyone started to repeat the same words what the restaurant owner said. My hands refused to move. When everybody is supporting the restaurant owner only, the narrator started to feel shivering, pain, sorrow, sadness. is unable to escape the situation. My hands refuse to remove. Sorry, my hands refuse to move. In order to remove the trousers, his hands were not going near the buttons only. I saw in my imagination a man standing in the crowd. See that? He started to imagine the situation. What is the situation? There is a crowd, stark, naked, and without his eyes. He is standing there in the crowd without wearing anything, being naked, without having eyes also, having become blind because he has gouged his eyes out. He just started to imagine the situation. Life was going to end like that. Let it end. And for all this, I never mind, O Creator of the world, my God, I had nothing to say. Everything would end. Everything would end to the satisfaction of all. He started to remember the God, to pray to the God, because no one is there in favor of him. No one is there to save him. Only the God has to intervene to save him from this situation, because he is going to become naked, he is going to become blind. He is just imagining that in that crowd, in that open city, how he will be struggling to find a place to save his life, because he is going to die. That will be the end. That will be the situation he is going to face now. That's why he started to remember his God, personal God. Now, I began to undo one by one the buttons of my trousers. Having recalled, having prayed to the God, what he started to do, he started to remove the buttons of his trousers one by one. Then I heard a voice, "Stop, I shall pay the bill." Someone from behind shouted, "Stop, I shall pay the bill." When he started to remove his trousers, someone intervened. Who is that? Who sent? He had seen no one who had the kind face. Everyone was looking like hungry wolves at him. Everyone laughed at him. Everyone repeated the same words of restaurant owner when he said, I think he had, you have something underneath when he said that, when he cracked his joke. It was his dignity at stake. At that time, everyone enjoyed, but now all of a sudden someone came to help him, saying that, I would pay the bill. Everyone turned in the direction of the voice. Nobody knew that who was that person. Now to know that person exactly, everyone in the crowd, everyone in the restaurant turned to the voice from which direction the voice came. Voice was heard. There stood a fair complexioned man, 6 foot tall, with a red turban and white trousers. He sported a handlebar mustache and had blue eyes. What is the nature? How he looks, that is described now. That fellow who said that he would pay the bill is a 6 foot tall man wearing red turban on his head, and he has sported a handlebar mustache. Okay, fair complexioned man. See that the people who doesn't look beautiful, handsome, will be mistaken for thieves sometimes in the crowd, in the public places. But here, he is a fair complexioned man. He is wearing a red turban on his head. To see him, nobody will suspect him that he is so. He is a fair complexioned man, 6 foot tall, and another thing, he is in white trousers. He has sported handlebar mustache and then he is having blue eyes. Blue eyes were quite common in that place. He came forward and asked the restaurant keeper, how much did you say it was? He asked what was the bill. He said 11 annas. He paid the amount. He turned to me and said, put on your clothes. He told the narrator, having paid the bill, he turned to the narrator. He told to wear all his clothes. I put them on. Come, he called me. I went with him. Did I have words to express my gratitude? I told him, you have done a great deed. I have not seen a finer man. He started to praise him because he was overwhelmed with lots of excitement. He is very, very happy because he is saved from the death. His life was at risk. Now he is saved. He doesn't know how to express his gratitude to the man who saved him from the situation. He started to praise him. You did a very good job. And he said he didn't know how to express his gratitude, and he had not seen a finer man, better man, good person. He had not seen at all these things. Saying, he started to speak. He laughed. Having seen this narrator, he felt pitiable. He laughed. In his laugh, there was some kind of pity. It's an expression. What's your name? He asked. I told him my name and where I came from. I asked the man his name. He said, I have no name. He didn't tell his name. When he did say, I said, in that case, Mercy must be your name. Yes, for that land, the word suits him because nobody knew about Mercy. So when he said he didn't know, he didn't have name, he gave the name that is Mercy for that fellow who saved him from the difficulty. Okay? Now, he did not laugh at that. He walked on until we reached a deserted bridge. That fellow took the narrator to a place. There was a deserted bridge. It means on that bridge, near that bridge, nobody was there. And on that bridge, nobody will walk, travel. Such a deserted bridge. It means nobody is using that bridge for any purpose. Such a place it is. Having taken the narrator to that place, the fellow who saved him is going to speak now. He looked all around. There was no one. Look, you must go away without turning around. If anyone asks you whether you have seen me, you must say no. He told. Before telling that, he checked whether there was anybody nearby in that surrounding places, because no one should hear him what he is going to tell. The narrator, having seen, having checked, having confirmed that there was nobody in that surrounding places, he turned to the man and he said to the narrator, see, you must go away from that place. He told him to go away from that place. And also he should not inform anyone that he had seen the man who saved him. Okay, these are the two cautions he gave. One thing, he should run away from that place, he should not stay there. And second thing, he should not inform anyone that he has seen. Okay, I understand. Immediately he understands what is that. Again, he is afraid of the man. He took out from his various pockets about 5 wallets, 5 among them was mine. He had kept 5 wallets in his pockets. That man who saved the narrator, he had 5 wallets in his various pockets. From all the pockets, he removed all the wallets. He showed him. He asked him which one was the narrator's wallet. He is asking the narrator to tell him, which of these is yours? He asked. I pointed to my wallet. He showed. which was his. Open it. He gave him, he took it, he told him to open it. I opened it. My money was there intact. I put it in my pocket. Having opened the pocket, having confirmed that the money was there, that 14 rupees, 14 rupees is life savings. Is life savings, that 14 rupees, whether it was there intact or not, having checked it, having confirmed that he kept it in the pocket, in his pocket. He told me, go, may God bless you. He blessed him, he wished him to go away from that place. And then the narrator also repeated the same thing in return for the person who saved his life, who was named as Mercy. I repeated, may God help you. He also wished him and he escaped from the place. He ran away from the place. He came back to his city, his home. He came back to his home. So now, having gone through this story, now we understood that how it will be in the strange land, what kind of situations we may have to encounter. It is not that only this kind of situations we have to, any kind of situation we may have to face in our life. At that time, we must be careful. We must expect the trouble, danger, harassment, hurt. Anything might come upon us. We must be careful enough. That is what he explained in this story. Okay? Bye.